Hello everybody, James here. So, I wanted to do a quick video on sort of Ric Flair's initial comments and then his follow-up comments, which kind of seem rather tone-deaf really, as far as it goes with Hulk Hogan's death and apparently a new cause of death that he is putting out there publicly for the first time. So let's get to the quotes immediately. Here we go.
Did you hear about this at all? Because this is news to me. And shout out to James Romero and the WSI network. Thank you for making the content that you do, sir. Make sure to subscribe.
So Ric Flair claimed that Hulk Hogan's death was caused by street drugs after doctors stopped prescribing him pain medication after his most recent surgery. So he says this: I talked to Hogan the day before he died. I shouldn't say this. Straight there, I shouldn't say this, but this is kind of the point I'm going to be getting to in a minute.
Yep.
But what killed him was street drugs. When the doctor wouldn't prescribe anymore, he was in so much pain. He was in so much pain, then he had that neck surgery and it got infected. So back in the hospital, mentioned 10 back surgeries, 2 knees, 2 hips, all this. When doctors said they could no longer prescribe pain medication, Flair claimed that Hulk Hogan turned to street drugs. When the doctor could not, well, all right, you said the same thing, but when the doctor would not prescribe any more pain medication, they just couldn't do it in all due conscience, right? Yeah, so they went and got their drugs off the street. His body just said, you know what, bingo, I can't do it anymore. Flair concluded, calling the situation sad and terrible.
I'm going to be honest. It doesn't sound that crazy. Am I confirming it? Absolutely not. But these wrestlers, especially when they get up there in age like Hogan was, their bodies are in so much disrepair and they are in so much pain that the pain medication is all they can rely on. And if they're not getting the level that they feel they need from the doctors, they're still in pain, so they're going to go anywhere they can, apparently to the street, you know? So it's not impossible.
And then he follows up with, you know what caused the back surgeries? Dropping the leg, Flair said. Dropping the legs, jabbed his bones, that's what did it. Which,
yeah, sure,
in fairness, probably is what did it for Hulk Hogan, but I'll get to that in a minute. But, so, I mean, immediately when you start off a sentence with, maybe, or I probably shouldn't say this, or I shouldn't say this, is maybe you shouldn't say it in this case. But anyway, here's the follow-up from Rick on social media. It says 17 hours ago, so I don't exactly know what time, but probably yesterday evening, I think. And you know it's Ric Flair because it's capitalized every single word, so it probably took about 4 hours to type this as well. There seems to be some...
It probably took about 4 hours to type.
Controversy over my remarks that street drugs killed Hulk Hogan. Yes, there is. I only was repeating what I know to be a fact through family members. After 11 back surgeries, hip replacements, it's gone up from 10 now, knee replacements, shoulder replacements, and 2 neck surgeries, I'm sure the pain was unbearable.
Right.
A doctor, as I know, can only prescribe so much pain medication under medical guidelines. I've been told that all they...
Exactly. That was the point I was trying to make before. That doctors realize that they can't go past a certain point with the pain medication because it can cause other problems.
They did was to help him, not to hurt him, to help him get through the night and the pain.
Right.
Eventually that catches up with you, as we know, with everybody. He was my friend, a man I respected, and I'm only reporting what I've been told. Once again, reporting what I've been told. Nothing more, nothing less. This was not an attempt to demean Hulk Hogan or his legacy. I have always referred to him as being one of the 2 biggest stars in the industry, himself and Steve Austin. I apologize if people misunderstood my statement, Hulkamania forever. Okay, I mean, that's kind of like really misunderstood my statement. I'm not sure, maybe some people did. But the whole misunderstanding was, some people might have thought, well, Ric Flair's trying to, I guess, demean or put down Hulk Hogan after...
No, I'm not getting that kind of vibe at all. You know, Flair and Hogan knew each other, 50 years? Something like that, maybe more? 60? I mean, why would Flair lie? You know? It just, unless it's just for attention for him, which I could see, but again, I'm not confirming this.
After he's dead. I'm not misunderstanding it from that angle. What I'm hearing from this is why is Ric Flair saying this in the first place? Let's assume it's true. Now, we have to always say that with Flair, because this is once again the same person who claimed that he was in the locker room when Bruiser Brody got stabbed, which we of course know is complete rubbish. He wasn't even in the country.
He wasn't even in the country.
It's not a misunderstanding as far as whether it's true or not, but let's just go on the assumption that it is absolutely true. The point is that, and once again we'll go back to the quote here, I was only repeating what I know to be a fact through family members.
Right.
Well, if the family members knew and none of them said anything publicly,
right,
what makes Ric Flair think that he wanted that information out there, or that the family wanted that information out there?
Right.
My guess is that they absolutely didn't want that information out there, because it doesn't make him look, tippity top, I guess.
Yeah, that's a little bit sus, as the kids say these days.
To get through the pain and stuff. And I think that's the criticism that Ric Flair's kind of entirely missed here. I'm not sure people were misconstruing his initial comments as being insulting to Hogan's legacy. I think it was more, why are you telling people this? If apparently you knew this and the family knew this, and once again they've not said anything publicly, so why are you now letting this out there months after the fact? Now, there's something else here, which, I'm always going to be questioning what Ric Flair says here and there, because once again of the Bruiser Brody thing among other claims. But Jimmy Hart's not said anything. So once again, let's say that people wanted this out there. Well, Jimmy Hart was, I believe, a much closer friend to Hulk Hogan than Ric Flair was.
James, I don't know if you're just joking around, but yeah, of course, Jimmy Hart went everywhere with Hogan. He was like his sidekick, So yeah, absolutely, he was closer than Ric Flair.
And he wasn't in contact too much with Hogan in the final days. But, he said the last time he saw Hogan, he was looking pretty well and, looking to be improving and looking better. And then, he just basically dropped dead. His heart gave in, and that's what happened. But it's just a weird thing for Flair to just go out there and just drop on everybody as far as, hey, he was... Here's the thing. I did an interview with Eric Bischoff, I don't know, probably maybe 3 years ago now. Because he just released his biography, and he has a lot of stuff about Hulk Hogan in the book, so I was asking questions about that. And he was saying, after the breakup with Linda Hogan, Belair, and just basically the collapse of his marriage, the collapse of his family, having to lose a huge amount of money, through the divorce and everything, and also being in an...
James. I love how James pulls something out of his ear and throws it on the floor.
And just basically the collapse of his marriage, the collapse of his family, having to lose a huge amount of money, through the divorce and everything. And also being in an absolute ton of pain as well, apart from the fact that, he let his body go really badly at one point after that as well.
No,
he was in a tremendous amount of pain, and he was really depressed. And there's one thing that he was doing was taking an awful lot of painkillers in between all these surgeries he was having.
Right. No, in all seriousness, though, this is the issue with Hogan, is that he was in so much freaking pain. The doctors were like, this is the legal amount we can give you without it killing you. So basically anything else that Hogan got outside of what he was prescribed from his doctor or doctors was on him. If this is true, it's on him. But we understand why. I have a 96-year-old grandmother who has like some of the worst arthritis in like every joint that the doctors have ever seen. And when she doesn't have her pain meds, she starts freaking out and screaming. So I get it.
To make it so he could, get up another day. And once again, I don't think it is actually much of an exaggeration to say that he's had nearly a dozen operations just on his back. And another thing Flair says that is true is that what caused this, apparently, is Hogan dropping the leg every night for, 15, 20 years before he started working more part-time in WCW. So that would be, the late 70s to 92, 93 maybe.
Right.
So yeah, that is probably 15, 16 years. Dropping the leg, especially in a World Wrestling Federation ring, so I've been told numerous times, that ring was like absolute concrete. It was like a boxing ring. There was no give to it. And that's basically why for many years in the WWF, you didn't see that many big moves or slams or high flying or anything, because, with the schedule they were keeping as well, it would have killed people over the short term to constantly take bumps on that kind of ring. But
it would kill people. That's an understatement, man. That I've always heard that ring showed no mercy. None.
But Hogan being, now you might think, well, a leg drop isn't the biggest deal, but one, he was getting up there, and two, he's 300 pounds or so at the time, 21 stone, 22 stone. He was a huge guy compressing his spine every single night, because, that was what was expected of him, and that was what the fans wanted.
Right.
So he did that every night for 15 or so years, and then he ended up paying the price for many, many years. And I think people criticize him for basically like boiling down what he could do in the ring, or what he did do in the ring, from like 86 onwards, the Formula Hulk Hogan match. It was more self-preservation, I think. And even though his matches for the most part were really easy to do, and followed a basic formula, he had match A, B, C, and D, as he said, his back still ended up in that situation. He ended up in a situation in the 2000s where he ended up relying on pain medication to get him through the day, and everything.
Because think about it, like he's saying, 300 pounds, 21, 22 stone, just so there's the, the conversion there. That is a lot of weight to be crashing down on your spine and your tailbone night after night after night. Let's say 300 times a year. That's a lot. Times 15. Alexa, what's 300 times 15? Listen to this.
300 times 15 is 4,500. By the way,
Alexa, stop. So he's probably done minimum 4,500 leg drops in the course of his career. And let's just say maybe 5,300 pound leg drops. All right. It's going to do something to your body after a while.
Else that he was doing, and this is sort of where he ended up in 2025. So once again, whether it's, the point of this video is whether it's true or not, this, the Ric Flair comment saying he had to turn to street drugs because the doctors weren't giving him any more pain medication. The point is, it's not his place really to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why he's saying it, apart from, he's got more attention out of it, I guess.
Right. That's exactly what I was saying before. It's more than likely for an attention grab at Hogan's expense, essentially.
But once again, it just seems to me to be a private matter that shouldn't be broadcast unless, I guess, his, his, I'm going to say ex-wife, his widow, or his children want to make that public. I just don't think it's up to Ric Flair to do it. And once again, it's a big shame for Hogan because, one, I bring up his previous problems as well as his size, because I don't know about this. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments. Do doctors adjust the guidelines for pain medication as far as prior tolerance to pain medication if you've been overtaking it in the past? Also, does it count towards size as well? Because once again, he's a huge guy, and maybe what they were prescribing him.
Well, as far as I know, like with Advil and Tylenol, usually like a kid or like a younger person would take like one Tylenol, and as you get older and put on more weight, usually it's 2. And I guess some extreme situations 3. But typically I feel like most people take 2 Tylenol. Now, as far as pain medication, like what they're taking, I don't know, like the oxycodone and that kind of stuff.
Simply just wasn't touching the sides in that respect. But once again, I don't think it was Ric Flair's place to say, or at least, or the very least speculate, or essentially what he says here. I'm going to go to the quote one more time. What I know to be a fact through family members, I think he actually uses the words he repeated. But once again, I'm not sure if any of them gave him permission to go public with it. So that's the video. That is.
So, do you think what Ric Flair is saying is true? Yes or no? I want to hear from you down below in the comments. Make sure you go and subscribe to James Romero. I have his link at the top of the description. Go show him some love. And if you enjoyed this video, let's see if we can hit 1 like, 1 subscriber if you're new here, welcome, and 1 comment. If you made it to the end of the video, leave a comment saying, woo! Seriously. So, till next time, keep watching wrestling. We'll keep reacting. And if you don't like it, we got 2 words for you. Subscribe.